19 creepy small town stories. According to Reddit. Number 19. A kindergarten teacher would lock students in what she called the monster closet. She'd do this whenever they misbehaved. The closet had no light in it, but had a speaker that the teacher would play noises on and would occasionally bang on the door. There was supposedly a picture of a monster in the closet. With that picture was never recovered. That the story only really broke out after a kid pissed themselves in the closet and broke their nose, bashing their head against the door, trying to open it. The only issue is that the teacher was told about the investigation weeks before it was actually conducted, so there was no physical evidence, just witness statements from kindergarten-age children. Another story is from middle school. A popular girl got pregnant, and everyone assumed it was her boyfriend. Nothing too major. Whatever. People bullied the boyfriend, saying that he ruined her life and other awful things, and he was kicked off the football team and everything. And a year later, he kills himself. And the girl comes out and says that the baby wasn't his, but was actually her grandpa's. And that he is in jail now, but she is deciding to keep the baby. Are these the kind of creepy stories you're looking for? Have you stumbled onto this channel from like some kind of like, I made some cereal, but you know, the milk may be like too close to the expiration date, so the cereal's ruined list? But in this list, Grandpa Baby. GRANDPABABY. Number 18. Not very secluded. It's only a small-ish town, but it's fucked up nonetheless. One day when the elementary school kids were out of school and heading home, a woman lured an 8-year-old girl into her car with the promise of showing the girl her new puppy. The girl was reported missing and security footage of the woman luring her released, but no Amber Alert was issued. There was a massive search for her. I remember seeing police helicopters hovering over the town and getting stopped by a blockade on the main street. They were handing out missing child flyers to all of the vehicles passing through. Roughly 3 months later, the girl's body was found in a wooded area, about an hour and a half away. The police ended up discovering that a couple had worked together to lure her into their car and drove to a hardware store to buy a hammer and rope. The poor girl was sexually assaulted by the boyfriend and then killed with the hammer. It happened about 8 years ago, but the story's been making waves again because the girlfriend was transformed to a medium security healing lodge. No, the girlfriend was transferred to a medium security healing lodge, and people are pissed off about it. This is kind of sad. But I guess it's how justice works in the country we live in. America. Fuck no. Number 17. I once listened to someone get murdered right outside my window when I was 11 years old. I was living in a small town in New Hampshire. Lots of screaming, banging, and then silence. I didn't know what to do. I was so young. The police were all over the place the next morning. wasn't a good time. Someone responds, "My aunt saw someone dragging a body from one house to another when she was walking home from school. She ran home, instantly called her mom, who didn't believe her, but it came out in the news later that she was right." Man, nothing like being a kid with a clean track record, telling your parents about some shit that's zizzy, and having your parents go, "I don't believe your corny ass," and then having you go, "Oh, I got you. I didn't know that you were somebody that I can't trust. I'll remember that." You know, like in a Walking Dead game, somebody remembers that. Remember Telltale Games? We'll remember Telltale Games, because they're done now. Uh-oh. Number 16. Lady killed a few guys on her farm and fed them to her pigs. They figured it out because she was still using their food stamp cards after they had been reported missing. This bitch is cold. She tried to petition the court to donate the pig meat to the local community center after the cops dissected them for evidence. The judge denied the request, of course. Fun times. Ishmael Lewis in the stream chat says you should shout out BetterHelp so DeFranco can get them dollars. You know. Hey guys, are you depressed? Well, Philip DeFranco and all of his shills want you to know that they were depressed once, but then they got fixed. Don't go to a pesky therapist. Turn off that pesky ad block. And go to whatever website is sponsoring them to help you fix your depression. It's a one-stop shop, apparently. You know what I mean? Some things there's not an easy solution, but apparently depression is an easy solution, my dude. Holy shit. And it just so happens to be our sponsor. Oh no. Not me, baby. Number 15. In the 1980s, a group of friends. What's wrong with the music? Shouldn't it be going to another song? In the 1980s, a group of friends who liked to get high in the woods killed one of their own after he had stolen some of his PCP. 36 stab wounds. Eyes and chest are all fucked up. The dude said that Satan had murdered the dude, not him. 2.5 weeks later, the kid is arrested, and he hangs himself in his cell 2 days later. If you want more info, Google Ricky Casso. Hmm. 10 bags of PCP. Promised to pay him back $50. Purple microdots. Most likely LSD. Oh boy. Lawyers was stabbed somewhere between 17 and 36 times, and his eyeballs had been sliced out during the stabbing. During the attack, Casso allegedly commanded lawyers to say you love Satan, but lawyers is said to have instead replied, I love my mother. After the attack, Casso and Trolano covered lawyer's body with leaves and small branches. Okay. Oh boy. You know, I've been struck for things on the YouTube channel, you know, that are real life things that have happened. I guess I wasn't supposed to talk about them because, you know, real life only, you know, is something we should talk about when it's only nice things, my dude. We don't, otherwise we're going to be quarantined, YouTube. That's the kind of site you're running, my dude. I'm not trying to make videos for kids. And maybe the majority of the people watching your platform shouldn't be kids with how, you know, Jimmy Kimmel is all over what the fuck you got going on. But hey, look, this is demonetization city. Especially that second story. Kid diddling right off the bat. Number 14. I grew up in a very small farming community near a very small town. One day, I wasn't allowed to go down a few farms to play with my friend and her brother on their little acreage, and I wasn't told why by my parents. Why won't you let me go, ma'am? Why won't you tell me why? That night I snuck out. I took my dirt bike up the road, only to find a giant cross that had been burned into their front yard, and their door had been smashed in half, and the truck was gone. When I got back, my grandfather was sitting on the porch with her shotgun, grandmother, waiting for me with a very displeased face. It kinda relaxed as I came up the drive, but I was sat down in front of the fireplace at 3 a.m. when my parents left work. The nuts of the town decided they didn't like the people who lived here. Don't ever go there again. If I catch you up there, I'll make you choose the branch I smack you with. Was this a racial thing? I was probably 8 or 9 when this happened, and when I was 19 and we didn't live in poverty or the farm anymore, I asked my mom what had happened, and she told me it was because my friend and her brother were half black. The racists in the area burned a cross on their lawn in a drunken rage and forced them to leave after beating their father very, very badly. My aunt and uncles all knew about it too. She didn't want any of those racist idiots seeing me going over there. I didn't even realize this was a thing. Kinda makes me shiver because I married a Chinese man, and I don't think I'll ever go back to that town despite such good memories. Some people are so wrapped up. It's kind of pathetic. As we continue, we arrive at number 13. I used to live in St. Joe, Minnesota. Everybody in the state knows what happened there. I assume lots happened beyond that. It was national news. In 1989, 3 boys had a gun pulled on them by a man with a mask and was told to face away. He picked one of them up, Jacob Wetterling, and then Jacob was never seen alive again. Jacob's parents created the Wetterling Foundation to advocate for child safety. The federal 1994 Jacob Wetterling Act created the Sex Offender Registry. In 2016, as part of a plea deal involving a single child pornography charge where he didn't get charged with murder of Jacob, a man who is now in jail for 20 years with the option to hold him in a facility afterwards as a sexual predator, told authorities where Jacob's body was. Let me read that again, in case you're a little bit confused. In 2016, as part of a deal, he made them a deal involving a CP charge where he didn't get charged with murder. So basically, to avoid getting charged with the murder of this boy, the guy who is now in jail for 20 years had the option to be held at a facility afterwards as a sex predator and told them where the body was. A few days ago, everything related to the case was released, and now local authorities and the FBI are arguing over why it took them so damn long. None of it would have saved Jacob, though. Jacob was dead the day he was abducted. His murderer said he panicked after seeing a police car go by. What's scarier than real life, my dude? Nothing. Maybe I can sit around and read some candy ass creepypastas all fucking day about some homo walking down the street and, oh my god, is that something in the bushes? I turned around and went back home, and I didn't leave my house for the rest of the day. Person in the bushes, let's not meet. I'm, you know, if that's what's, bruh. But we're not supposed to talk about this, my dude. This may as well be a void on YouTube. Number 12 is deleted, but not forgotten. We'll figure it out. Me. I'm actually gonna just scroll down real fast. Okay, here's one. When I was 9 years old, I went to visit my grandmother, who lived in Oklahoma. That's a bit small, isn't it? If you resize it now, it'll fuck up the whole page. Just bear with me. She lived on a commune with other foster families in a giant cul-de-sac in the middle of nowhere. There were about 20 houses, 2 foster parents to a house, and each household had 2 to 6 foster kids. At least one biological child as well. I would say there were about 40 foster parents and at least 100 foster kids, with 20 biological children. My grandmother lived in what they referred to as the big house, with 10 bedrooms. My grandmother did not have any foster children, but kids would come stay with her occasionally. The big house was the school and the common area. Since it was summer, now that's what I'm talking about.
Cheers, man.
Thank you, my man. $3.86, and it obliterates the jar. You're a saint. You're a scholar. Torture my bing bong. The big house was the school and the common area. Since it was summer, we were left to our own devices. I went to Jesus camp the first week, which it's a whole other story. But the second week, I mostly hung out in the commune because they had a pool, a tennis court, a basketball court, and a playground right in the middle. I was a friendly little girl, always wanting to make people feel included, so I befriended this other girl that we'll call Peggy. The other children stayed away from Peggy. She was maybe 12. We had so much fun all day together, laughing, stealing brownies from one of the houses, playing in the pool, running through the meadow. It was great fun. That night, my grandmother told me that I couldn't hang out with Peggy, and I asked her why. My grandmother looked at me in the eyes and said Peggy is a slut and a whore. And as we scroll back up for a bit of reiteration, Peggy was 12 years old. Wait, who was 12 years old? Friendly little girl, always wanted to make people feel included. She was maybe 12, that's what she says. The next day I asked Peggy about it, and she looked down, shuffled with some dirt, and whispered, "My daddy made me do stuff with him and his friends. Sex stuff. This is very typical in communes, or, off the beaten path communities where people just live in big ass groups. Mormon family, shit like that. It's not typical of everyone, but it is happening nowadays. Very much still. I never forgot this. About 5 years ago, I started to remember how fucked up those 2 weeks in Oklahoma were, so I did some digging. 9 kids between 1965 and 2001 died in the foster care community. I couldn't find any reports or investigations, and my grandmother still runs the foster commune. I texted my cousin about it, and apparently it is a pretty open secret that shit goes down there. Kids are all sorts of fucked up. My cousin has been shunned by my grandmother ever since she had a child out of wedlock with a Native American in 2010, so she doesn't know any more information about the children who died. My grandmother blocked me on Facebook like 3 days after she got it. Kids have died and are most likely being abused or worse, but no one in town is doing anything to stop it. Because on those damn communes, they live outside of jurisdiction. Interesting stuff. Sad stuff, to say the least. Sad stuff, to say the least. Well, as we continue upward on this list, we arrive at number 11. I'm from a small town in central Utah. To my knowledge, there are at least 3 operating polygamous cults in and around the town. Polygamy. Since we have little kids watching these videos, who I do not condone watching these videos, but apparently I can't do anything about it. And you know YouTube's gonna make me the fucking evil guy for it. Polygamy, of course, is the practice of having more than one wife or husband at the same time. So, you get a whole bunch of these people, you put them in a house, and naturally, the parents end up doing things with the children, and then the parents end up coaching the children into believing that that's fine. This is something that happens today. So, in Utah, there are 3 operating polygamous cults in and around the town, some of which are known for marrying children and many other fucked up things. I bet they get a pretty penny for those too. They make it legal. Suicide pacts have been acted out by children in retaliation to being raised in such a way. Tons of creepy shit happening behind closed doors. Some of the polygamous houses are outfitted with carpeted walls to dampen any sounds that come from there. Tons of other extremely fucked up cults have existed everywhere in Utah, Idaho, and northern Arizona. This shit is still rampant. The town in question is Monte, Utah, if you're interested in looking into it. It's getting pretty sick, isn't it? It's a part of the world everybody kind of just shuts their eyes to. Hey, we gotta have a creepy list every now and then, you know? It's not my fault that it's legitimately creepy, as opposed to just waka waka. Number 10. There was a car accident that killed 5 cheerleaders when they were in a head-on collision with a truck. The truck driver was vilified as a monster, and they literally referred to the dead girls as the town name Angels. People had bumper stickers, plans were made for a memorial statue, etc. Then the news came out that all 5 girls were drunk, high, and on coke at the time of the accident, and the girl that was driving was texting. The truck driver was the real innocent victim. Psh, it's kind of like a microcosm of the world that we live in, and how people just run with certain shit when, in reality... The only people who ever send me Snapchats are people that are block worthy. Why is... I'm not the type of nigga that's naive enough to believe that I should be giving anybody the benefit of the doubt, but you can only extend your hand so many times and have it slapped away before you stop extending your hand. And that's the end of that. As we continue up to number 9. Small East Coast town. My mom broke up with her serious boyfriend and moved us kids to Grandma's house. Less than a week later, the boyfriend had a coworker over to look at buying his stereo, as he was trying to get his life in order and win my mom back. The coworker was secretly gay, and he hit on the boyfriend. When the boyfriend politely declined, the coworker grabbed a large flashlight and beat him to death. Apparently, he didn't want a secret getting out at work. I was maybe 6 years old, Didn't find out what happened to him until I was 12, and a friend of the family slipped up and mentioned him being murdered while I was in earshot. Oh boy. As we continue. Number 8. When I was in high school, my boyfriend's mother was kidnapped and strangled by 2 men that she had kicked out of the library that she worked at for looking for porn. They were part of a really close-knit small rural community, and despite almost everybody in it knowing who did it, no one would speak up about it. And to this day, her murderers have gone unpunished. Can't imagine the pain her family went through. When everybody knows and nobody says. Murdering a librarian for telling you not to look at porn. In the library. This is a public place. Maybe get yourself together. Get your shit together. Buy a cheap ass smartphone from Walmart or some shit, my dude. Go to a McDonald's, figure out some free Wi-Fi. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with people? Some people have no restraint. Number 7. The judge was basically throwing all the kids in juvenile for pay. Damn, judge. Who is this Judge DeFranco? It was on the national news and called Kids for Cash or Cash for Kids. Anyway, I went in front of this very judge when I was younger, and he told me flat out the only reason I wasn't sent away was because I was signed up for the Marines. He told me, you got 6 months till you graduate. Don't make trouble in my town ever again. To give you a sense of how corrupt he was, I only got caught driving 15 minutes after curfew. Curfew. Reread what you just said, Ishmael. You must be new on Reddit. If I ever switched from Reddit as a platform for something, it'd be because it's fucking mainstream, and all of the bitch boys that that hang out at at Digimon and Beyblade fucking lunch tables are doing YouTube videos talking about Reddit now. I would switch because it's too popular, not because it's politically correct. I wouldn't say there's resistance, man. I would say there's censorship. There's a difference. The day that I don't access the raw, uncensored opinions and views of people, that'll be the day that the site starts dying, and I'll organically move. Reddit.com is mainstream, dude. But there are parts of Reddit that some people never see. And the juiciest parts of Reddit have remained unquarantined. It's only when they get too juicy, if they can't be deleted, then they are quarantined, like Watch People Die. Remember, these are just, I want to say, live excerpts of people's lives. So it's up to date. It's interesting. As early as a day ago, we can get information as it pertains to what's relevant, specific to a certain topic. When it's all fake, then it'll lose its relevance. Number 6. I've said this on here before, but in my town, there was a woman who was raped by a friend. The boyfriend of the woman got pissed, and the rapist felt bad. So he let the boyfriend tie him up and beat the shit out of him? Why not kill him? What a bizarre story already. I've said this before. In my town, there was a woman who was raped by a friend. The boyfriend of the woman got pissed at the rapist, so he let the boyfriend of the girl tie him up and beat the shit out of him. After that night, or as the night goes on, the two men end up smoking weed and then meth together, so naturally they both get in the car for a drive. After this odd change of events, the boyfriend and driver of the car start faking motor issues, so he pulls over. They check under the hood, and the boyfriend of the girl slams the hood down on the rapist's friend's head, and then proceeds to cut the man's head off and throw it into the woods. How positively delightful. It's me, the beheader. You've got me fucked up abusing my girl. I'll let you have meth this one last time. Oh yeah, boy. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Carolus says, Reddit has some dark shit sometimes. Of course it does, if you know where to look. That's why when you say Reddit is mainstream, that shows just how basic the channels on Reddit y'all are fucking around on are. The true Reddit experience is never something that I could stream, because it'd immediately get it shut down, and we'd have to find new communities that mods and other homo admins don't understand what they are enough to shut them down yet. But, hey, lurk a little hard and you'll figure some shit out. But make sure you got that VPN, baby. Number 5. My best friend in high school was molested and eventually raped regularly by her father. Come on, man. This is pretty dark. When she was a sophomore or junior, she stole her parents' car and ran away to stay with her aunt. The sheriff of the town that we lived in caught up with her on the highway, and she told him what was happening. And he took her back to her parents. Oh, man. Now, he might be raping you, but he's family. It's comments like this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sometimes y'all motherfuckers need to not confuse people you're related to with family. There is a difference. There is a difference. Some of you may have been invested in like a happy-go-lucky list tonight, and for that I apologize, but to be morbid for a moment, we could at least look at how terrible things are in some people's lives and be slightly appreciative that our lives haven't been fucked in so profound a capacity. And if any of what I've read so far unfortunately bears striking similarities to the life that you have been living, then I apologize. I'm sorry. I hope that you cling fast and remain strong. And just keep pushing. Don't push as hard as you have, or as hard as you think you can, or as hard as you think you need to. Push just enough to get to the next day, and worry about what happens from there on out after. Love you. And I'm sorry. Number 4. I grew up in a small town, about 2,000 people. It was very conservative, redneck logging town, and there was a girl in high school who was known as the school slut. She was a grade ahead of me, and she never seemed to actually date anyone, yet everybody talked about how slutty and easy she was. I didn't find out until several years later that her dad had been arrested for molesting her and her younger sister. There's a lot of diddling on this fucking list. She didn't want to be known as the girl who got molested, so the cover story that she spread rumors about herself being slutty. I know how much people talked about her behind her back, and I'm sure she knew it as well. It breaks my heart to know that she thought that was better than what she would get if they knew the truth. When that reputation was better than the alternative. Number 3. There was a girl in my town who was paralyzed in a car accident. She was able to sue and received a large settlement. She hired a guy to manage the money, and he embezzled the funds. She found out, so she left a parcel bomb on... Whoa. She found out, so he left a parcel bomb on her doorstep disguised as a Christmas present, which she opened and it killed her instantly. She was a single mom. And I can't imagine what her daughter had gone through. Be careful who you motherfucking trust. This is not her fault. It's a tragedy. But goddamn, everyone has their price. And some people will do terrifying things to get their hands on that cash. This has got to be one of the better creepy lists on the internet right now. Number 2 is deleted. Let's try a little harder. Dig deep. In February, a guy killed my fiance. This is the sort of town where everybody knows everybody. People treat me differently now. Always offering things. Doing stuff that I should be doing myself. I appreciate them. But none of it's going to bring your fiance back. Ladies and gentlemen, we arrive at number 1 on the list of 19 creepy small town stories. Kyle been dealing with some real life shit, but not in a way where I'm going to cry about it like some kind of fuck. And then beg y'all to go to my sponsor. You know what I mean? So I hope that everybody is having a fantastic day, evening, whenever you're listening to. I hope that you're okay. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that shit gets better. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to tell you to go seek help through some sponsored shill fucking website. I'm not going to tell you that a therapist is going to make your life better, or that talking to people around you, therapists, friends, family, is going to alleviate anything. And in many scenarios, shit definitely gets worse before it gets better. But I can tell you this, it will get better if you fuck on for long enough. Okay? You're not bedridden, hopefully. You're not in a hospital bed right now, hopefully. You know what I mean? And hopefully nobody that you love is hanging on by a thread, my man. You have me, and most of you will never need me. And that's a luxury. I love you to death. I want to thank my sponsors on YouTube. Every little bit helps, and y'all giving a lot of it. I want to thank all of my patrons. Y'all are really setting me up in a way where I don't have to be scared at the beginning of the fucking month, you know, with whatever initial bills I need to fly out. You know what I mean? Woo. And with that, let's complete this list. Number 1 reads, 10 years ago, a woman called 911 from the J.C. Penney parking lot. Claimed to have had just given birth. She had a baby in her back seat and the umbilical cord and everything. Took her to the hospital, and it was obvious that she had not just given birth. They found the real mother of the baby dead on a popular walking trail at a park in town. The woman had cut the baby out of the woman's stomach and tried to pass it off as her own. As far as I know, the baby survived. Here are the details. Life sentence. What a disgusting name for a disgusting bitch. Sisavan Sinhavong. What? She did what? She looking like what? Make a fucking movie. It's the type of bitch you'd run from on the street. I don't give a damn. She's a murderer. There go the mugshot. What? Is that her? Killed a pregnant woman and then claimed the baby was her own? What a walking disease. 23-year-old woman fucking stabbed a bitch and carved a baby out. You know, you don't want to dignify this hoe. You don't want to dignify this hoe with more attention. And this is the kind of shit that's going to get me fucking demonetized, because not only can I not talk about real shit, but I can't have a real opinion about a damn thing unless it's Venom, the movie that I'm totally going to go see because I'm an idiot that would go watch a Sony film when I know the fucking track record that Sony has. Are y'all fucking crazy? You know what I mean? I should be making movie reviews. The bottom line is this. Part of me, as a motherfucker with a brain, wants to think to myself, okay, you're a fat, ugly bitch, but somebody will fuck you. So why can't you have your own baby if that's what you want so bad? Is it really the baby that you're seeking? Because why would you go to all of the trouble of faking that a baby, faking that you've had a child? What the fuck? She didn't just steal that baby. She faked that she had the child. And called, my God, I don't know where to begin with it. You barren, ho? Something wrong with you? You miscarrying? What's going on? I don't mean to trigger anybody who's had, you know, my God. We need to really just get that off the brain. There are your creepy stories. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope this is your first time to this channel and you don't know what the hell's going on. But, you know, like the video. There's a Streamlabs link in the description. Maybe you should click that and send the money straight to me in a way where I'm not going to pretend that, you know, it's going anywhere else. Transparency. Y'all have a fancy and sexy Halloween. If you want creepy, come to me.